Welcome to Echoes of Jewish History, where memory meets meaning. I'm your host, Jimmy Buton. Together we'll explore the stories, struggles, and ideas that have shaped the Jewish people across time and around the world. From biblical origins to modern Israel, from exile to resilience, this is our journey. It was supposed to be over. The gas chambers were liberated. The world saw the horror. Nuremberg was held. The words "never again" were etched into the Jewish soul and supposedly into the moral code of modern civilization. But here we are again. Synagogues require armed guards. College students hide their Star of Davids. Jews are warned not to speak Hebrew in public. And on October 7th, 2023, the world watched in chilling silence or open approval as Hamas carried out the most brutal massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. And then, as Jewish grief filled the streets, a movement emerged not in solidarity, but in slander. From the river to the sea, resistance by any means. Zionists are colonizers. Dehumanization is contextual. And behind all of it, the oldest hatred in a new costume. The new anti-Semitism, moralized, digitized, weaponized, and worse, celebrated. But it isn't really new. It's ancient rage with modern grammar. So the real question is not why do they hate us again? It's why did we think they ever stopped? Anti-Semitism is unlike any other form of hatred. It contradicts itself constantly. Jews are hated for being poor and hated for being rich, hated for being pacifists and hated for being powerful, hated as communists and as capitalists, hated as rootless wanderers, and hated for having a homeland. It is not bigotry, it is mythology. In medieval Europe, the Jew was the devil's agent, accused of poisoning wells, killing Christian children for blood, spreading plague. In the modern period, Jews were cast as disloyal citizens, economic parasites, and racial pollutants. Hitler didn't just want to eliminate Jews, he framed them as an existential poison. And even after the Shoah, the Holocaust, even after the horror, anti-Semitism didn't die. It just shifted. It kind of mutated into Soviet anti-Zionism, into leftist academic theory, into the shadows of progressive movements that now tell us that Jews are not victims, but villains. It's a unique paradox. The Jews are always the problem, even when they're being murdered. And here we are, again. The anti-Semitism of today doesn't wear swastikas. It waves rainbow flags. It posts solidarity slogans on Instagram. It quotes Judith Butler and Noam Chomsky. It speaks in the name of decolonization, intersectionality, and human rights. But make no mistake, it is still anti-Semitism. What we now face is a new fusion between ancient scapegoating and radical leftist ideology shaped by postmodernism. To understand this, you have to understand the worldview that underpins it. Postmodern thought teaches that there is no universal truth. Everything is power. All narratives are political. Identity becomes the foundation of morality. If you belong to a historically oppressed group, you're virtuous. If you belong to a dominant group, you're guilty, regardless of individual actions. This new moral framework judges people not by what they do, but by what they represent. And Jews, in this twisted calculus, Jews represent success, whiteness, privilege, capitalism, and worst of all, power. The Jew, once powerless, is now condemned for surviving too well. And Israel, the ultimate symbol of Jewish sovereignty, is seen not as a miracle of return, but as a colonial oppressor, a white settler state, standing in the way of global justice. The result? The Jewish state becomes uniquely hated among the nations, delegitimized, dehumanized, and demonized. And anyone who defends it is canceled, threatened, or worse. This is not political disagreement. This is not critique. This is anti-Semitism moralized. No other people on the earth are told that defending themselves is a form of aggression. Only the Jews. In 1948, the world watched as Holocaust survivors raised a flag and defended their newborn state. They were outnumbered, isolated, and attacked, and they survived. For a brief moment, the Jews were seen as heroic, but not for long. As Israel grew stronger, Jewish agency became a problem. Jews were acceptable as victims, not as fighters, not as armed. The 1975 UN resolution declaring Zionism as racism was a Soviet-era propaganda coup, and it never fully died. Today, it lives on in academic journals, university protests, and social media threads. Zionism, a movement of liberation, has been reframed as a movement of oppression. A response to genocide is now treated like genocide itself. This is the most insidious lie of all, because it requires erasing Jewish history, Jewish trauma, and Jewish moral complexity. It demands that Jews become rootless once again, or suffer for daring to be rooted. October 7th was a massacre. Rapes, burnings, beheadings, child executions. These are not contested facts. They are filmed, photographed, and documented. And yet, within 24 hours, the sympathy shifted, the headlines softened, the justifications began. Terms like context, occupation, and resistance flooded social media. College campuses erupted in support, not of the dead children, but of the killers. And in that moment, the mask fell. The performative virtue was exposed. The lie that anti Semitism was just a right wing problem was shattered. The hatred was not coming from Nazis in the woods, it was coming from PhDs, professors, influencers, and self appointed warriors of justice. They weren't defending human rights, they were defending slaughter, as long as the victims were Jews. One of the most dangerous intellectual imports into modern anti Semitism is the concept of decolonization. The Jewish return to Zion is cast as colonialism, even though Jews are indigenous to the land, even though they maintained presence there for millennia, even though no other people has ever had a capital in Jerusalem. Israel is portrayed as foreign, artificial, and evil. And decolonization, in this twisted framework, becomes a call for erasure. Not coexistence, not peace, erasure. Add to this the internet, a place where complexity dies, where slogans beat facts, and where Zionist baby killer trends faster than truth. Algorithms amplify rage, propaganda is shared like memes, Jewish nuance is no match for emotional simplicity. And behind it all, the same old tropes. Jews control the media, Jews control the banks, Jews control governments. Except now, it's not in pamphlets. It's in DMs, comments, and hashtags. Now, let's be clear. New anti-Semitism doesn't stop at Zionism. It never does. It starts there because that's where Jews are most visible, most defensible. But it quickly moves on to Jewish charities, to Jewish professors, to Jewish students, to Jewish existence. Just like in 1930s Germany, it starts with targeting the political symbols and ends with targeting the people. This is why Jews are being chased on campus, why mezuzahs are torn off doorposts, why Jews are being told to renounce their connection to Israel or lose their jobs. This is not about Israel's policies. This is about Jewish legitimacy. And if you think staying silent will protect you, it won't. The anti Semite does not distinguish between left wing and right wing Jews, between Zionists and anti Zionist Jews. If you're a Jew with memory, you are a threat. If you are a Jew with pride, you are a problem. If you are a Jew with presence, you are a target. So Why do they hate us again? Because anti-Semitism was never gone. It was dormant. It changed its mask as it has over and over in history. It updated its vocabulary, but it never left. And now it is back, fueled by ideology, cloaked in virtue, and weaponized by platforms that reward hatred. We are not victims of history. We are its authors. We are the people who turned exile into literature, ghettos into genius, and suffering into strength. We will not explain ourselves to those who have already made up their minds. We will not apologize for being alive. We will not shrink our presence to make others comfortable. Jewish pride is not a reaction. It is a revolution against 2,000 years of being told to disappear. Let them chant. Let them rage. We will remember. We will rebuild. We will never again be silent. Thank you for listening to Echoes of Jewish History. If this episode brought new insight or raised new questions, I invite you to share it, reflect on it, and continue the conversation. Mostly to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe. I'm Jimmy Biton, and as always, may our memory lead us to meaning and our past illuminate our path forward.